Good morning, everybody. We're going live. We're looking at the inactives right now. I'm just pulling up the article, letting the chat fill up. Once you get in, please hit that like button. Really spreads the video out on the algorithm. And if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend doing so because there's videos every day, nonstop. Of course, drop your start-sit questions in the comment section below. Go ahead. So what we're doing here is going through the inactives article right here on ESPN as we're allowing the chat to fill up with start-sit questions. So Deontay Johnson, growing questionable. He's expected to play. Keenan Allen's cleared, expected to play. Jordan Love, he is going to play. Dameon Pierce, impact. Cam Akers is likely to once again handle the majority of the backfield duties. Something to note there. And Joe Mixon is out. Pierce out. That being said, it's Cam Akers again. Remember last week, that game script didn't bode well for Cam Akers, and the Texans were playing from behind, and they had to throw it more. And that's just what happened there. That's just how the cookie crumbles. That's just how football works. Next, Tank Dell out. Next, Evan Ingram out. Next, Gabe Davis, questionable. He probably will play. That's what it's saying right there. If you're having questions on Gabe Davis, I hope you don't, but if you do, there it is. Davis Allen, questionable. Cooper Kupp, of course, out. Alvin Kamara is questionable, but looks like from what I've read, he'll play, and looks like it's saying the same thing here. Jamal Williams is a player to pay attention to. I probably should have dropped a You Need video on him, but I saw that Alvin Kamara was coming back, and I was like, I don't want to push that button too much. But again, Jamal Williams is just going to have that cup upside there or that touchdown upside week to week. You never know what's going to hit. We're looking at Chris Olave. He's questionable. Suffered hamstring fight. Doesn't bow well, but it's expected he'll at least try to play. So we're paying attention to Chris Olave right now. See if he's in or out. Cedric Wilson. I hope you're not worried about him. Maybe if you're a Saints fan. A.T. Perry. Hamstring has been ruled out. A.J. Brown, of course, for Philly, out. Devonta Smith, concussion, of course, out. We know that one. That's just been in the news. And now you're thinking about Jahan Dotson, John Ross, Paris Campbell. I look for them to load up the tight ends, just really smoke it with Saquon Barkley. I look for Jahan Dotson to run a lot of routes and only get a few targets. And I look for Dallas Goedert to get some workload. That's what I'm really looking at here. That's pretty much what I'm looking for Philly. I'm looking for them to keep it a nice, low-scoring, ugly game with Tampa Bay. But if Tampa Bay gets up early, if Tampa Bay can get up early in this matchup, that could be very interesting to see how this Eagles offense works. Russell Wilson, questionable with the calf. Justin Fields should start, is what they're saying right there. Jaylen Warren out, of course. Cordell Patterson, we did a You Need video on him just in case someone needed a running back there. Catching balls out of backfield, running routes, using the slot. And I went over his tape, and he looks like he's got some pop still in the step, even though he's an older running back. Should be okay to get you by. That doesn't mean he'll score fantasy points. That means touches should be there for somewhat. Rachaad White illness should play. Saw that on Twitter. Rachaad White in. Also saw on Twitter that Bucky Irvin's in. So these two should be in. Expect a split again. Expect that to be a split. And this really depends on what the Eagles offense does, really, and how far ahead the Tampa Bay can get, or if it's a dogfight. It could be, if it's a dogfight, it's ugly, and these running backs really ain't going to do much. But if they can get ahead, they could be just using these running backs to pound things out. This game script, you can guess the game script, but it really depends on if Tampa Bay can take advantage of a decimated Eagles team right now. And if they can do that, that's going to impact the running backs. We're going over the health of these players, the ins and the outs, the starts and the sits. If you got questions, drop them in the comment section below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any videos. And if you hit the like button, it helps spread the live stream out on the algorithm. Jalen McMillan, doubtful. He's always just a guy running a lot of routes, getting opportunity. I think he'll have his moments off and on throughout the season. We got two questions rolling in. Thank you, guys. First one, let me show it here on the screen. Should I start Josh Jacobs or Chuba Hubbard? And could Ayuk have a breakout game today? Let's look at Josh Jacobs versus Chuba. Josh Jacobs had a low week last week. I'm going to just throw up the rankings here of 4 for 4. Let it roll. Josh Jacobs at 23. And then we got Chuba here for them. PPR at 19. So they got Chuba ahead of Jacobs. I'm looking at the matchups here. I think volume's going to be rather similar for both players. You got Carolina against Cincinnati. You got what am I doing? Josh Jacobs against Minnesota. This is all dependent on Love coming back and how well Love goes in this matchup. And if Love is wheeling and dealing and Josh Jacobs is getting those touches like we've been seeing, because over here when we're seeing the workload, it's been up and down due to like it being up and down with the quarterback play. But Josh Jacobs is at least the volume's going to be there. I mean, it did not pan out. Again, that's Tennessee, though, and that was a weird game script. Also, Tennessee defense against Indy. We got 13 fantasy points. We got 32 rushing attempts. We got 16 rushing attempts. You're good for about 15 rushing attempts at least with Josh Jacobs if you want to chase the volume. And really, everything's dependent on Love with him. If Love's moving the chains, and Jacobs is going to roll. Chuba Hubbard, we got the Andy Dalton revenge game here. Cincy, let's look at them against running backs. Just pull that up for you. The Bengals versus running backs here. Allowed 21.6 fantasy points to Ramondre Stevenson, and that was an ugly game if you remember that. Isaiah Pacheco, PPR 16.1. Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson both split. I look for Chuba at least get you a 10 spot. I look for him at least get you a 10 spot in this matchup. If you're looking at the top performers here, they're at league average when allowing fantasy points to running backs. I think if I'm shooting for more pure upside, I would go with Josh Jacobs. But if I'm really worried about Love coming back, the offense moving due to that, then I would go Chuba. I think it's very close to a push. I understand why 4 for 4 has Chuba ahead of Josh Jacobs due to that factor. Chuba's a little safer due to that if you go over that thought process. I think if you're banking on Love and you feel good about Love and the offense coming back, you go with Jacobs. If you don't, you go with Hubbard. Hubbard's a safer option, because you're going to get double digits. You're going to get 10 to 12 at least, somewhere around there. And then after that, it's if you can score the touchdown and if targets go your way. I know it's not clear cut, but it really depends on what you want and how you feel. I look at it as more of a coin flip, and I can understand why 4 for 4 has them higher. I would definitely look at Chuba as being the safer option due to that, but I look for Josh Jacobs having a little bit more upside, because if Love can keep the chains moving, then that could be big time. It's just what's that going to look like coming back from that injury. Next question coming up. Thank you, Ronin's Dojo. Looking for a ceiling PPR. Looking for ceiling. So we're looking for the upside here. So we got Steele Leggett. Is that Quentin Johnston, Roshan, and we got Yoshi versus Waddle. Pick two. So we're looking at Leggett because we got Adam Thielen out. So when I'm thinking about that, when I'm thinking about the snap shares for those wide receivers, that's pure upside. So the question is, do you want the upside with a lot of downside? Xavier Leggett, wide receiver 58 against Cincinnati. But that's about as pure upside as you can get. Carson Steele, when I look at him, your upside with him is crossing the goal line. The thing about him last week is he did not cross the goal line, but he got 17 touches. We're with the Chiefs here. That being said, he's due to cross the goal line with that workload. Kareem Hunt got called up. And in Andy Reid's press conference, said he looked good, liked what he saw. The one question he did talk about, the one thing that rose my eyebrows when he was talking was him bringing up pass protection. So that might be a mix there. Steele's a little safe. Roshan Johnson's going to get some workload, but how much with the Bears? I just don't see Roshan getting enough checkdowns in this offense. Like, I bet you they got Carson Steele ahead of Roschon. There's Roschon at 33, Carson at 29. And we got the Chargers. We're on the road, slow game script. I look for Carson Steele to get into the end zone. He's got the end zone upside in this matchup. So I'd probably do Carson Steele over Roschon if it's me. Yoshi's been hot. QJ is at Quentin Johnston against the Chiefs. I look for them to lock down the outside. Quentin's been hot. I'd go with Steele as my safe upside and Leggett as my upside that could give you nothing if I'm doing it that way. If I want upside with fantasy points, I'd go Yoshi. And the reason why I say that is Leggett is one of those players that can turn you out like nothing if you're looking at pure ceiling. But if you're looking at pure ceiling, but you want to feel like you're getting a little something back, I'd go Yoshi. I think Steele's got upside with the touchdown upside in this matchup. I definitely see that happening. Chiefs on the road. They're going to pound it out with him in the goal line. I definitely see that happening. Definitely see that happening. That's what I would do. So it really depends on what you want. Pure upside, Leggett. If you want upside with a little bit of something back, Yoshi. Steele, I'm chasing that touchdown upside with the Chiefs. Next, what's this one? What's up, Go Steve? Yo, I know you already did a video, but how are you feeling about Dotson today? I feel like Dotson's going to run a lot of routes. I feel like there's going to be opportunity there. And just let's look at his recent workload because it's increasing. And I did that video kind of like I did it on Monday, right before the Monday night game, because I knew people were starting him out of desperation because I was doing this live stream that Sunday morning and I had a ton of questions. So I just dropped the video then. And I think that was right before week 2 or 1. And I pretty much say he's going to be out there running routes. Don't expect too much, but you got to do what you got to do. You're seeing the snap share go up. You're seeing targets go up, which is a good thing, especially with him being very new to the offense. I look for it to be somewhere like this, around the 80, 90% snap share, maybe higher. Targets, 3 to 5-ish. I look for the Eagles to try and make this game slow. Try and make this game slow against Tampa Bay. You're losing a lot of hosses here. You lost a offensive lineman as well. You're going to pound it with Saquon. I look for Goddard to get targets. I look for him to run a lot of routes, and I look for him to get probably about 3 to 5 targets. It could be more if Tampa Bay can push the game script and get ahead. And it's just pure targets going everywhere, them firing away during the witching hour on NFL Network. So I think he's more of a what the heck throw-in if you're hurting. He's not an option I like, but I do recognize he's probably going to run a good bit of routes, probably about 90% route participation rate, 85 to 90 range around there, a lot of snaps. Targets, probably about the 5 range. And if it goes higher, it's because Tampa Bay gets up on him. That's what I'm really feeling with this matchup. What's up, Matt Miller? What's going on? We starting Trey Tucker or Hopkins and flex? Good question. Let's go over here. My brain always says in that situation, always go with the crafty vet. Especially you got this matchup where the quarterback play could really hinder the Dolphins, and Tennessee could just be up and they're slinging targets. And 4-4 is really just saying, hey, one of these guys could get it in this matchup. This could be a low-scoring game, a slow game, an ugly game. But if Miami just keeps jacking up at quarterback, Tennessee might be able to roll. But now we're looking at Tucker, who's not too far down, but he's also in a bad matchup. Tucker should get some of those underneath targets as they're trying to get the ball out quick against that Cleveland defense. That's why I kind of like him. I like him to get some volume. After that's where everything goes. I'm going to look at what Hopkins did. He had a good week last week. My gut, my head, when I first read that, went Hopkins. If you just want to go off my pure gut. My pure gut went with Hopkins. And mainly because, 1, he's Hopkins. 2, Will Levis is used to him. He's going to throw the ball to him. On top of that, we got Trey Tucker here, who's probably going to run about the same amount of routes. Very similar amount of routes. Probably going to be getting the short to intermediate portion of the field. Probably going to be the quick outlet against a tough defense. I think both of them are in bad game scripts. If it was me, I'd go DeAndre Hopkins. I think it's closer to a coin flip than what a lot of people would think. But if it was me, I'd put in DeAndre Hopkins. What's up, Ice Cream Headache? What's going on? Thank you guys for watching. Likely or Conklin this week, full PPR? Good question. So with tight ends, and I throw this in whenever I do a tight end video, we go after the upside and let the chips fall. Tyler Conklin against Denver, 21. Likely against Buffalo, 14. What I like about likely is he's in that Buffalo matchup. Should be higher scoring game. Should be more volume in this game. However, you got Baltimore and Buffalo, and I wonder what the line looks like here with them, because it was around 46 the other day, and I wonder if it dropped. It's at 46.5. Looks like it's staying the same, if not went up a little bit. Vegas is saying that it's going to be a higher scoring game than the Jets. I see it hitting the under, though. I see it being lower scoring, but not super low scoring. But I see it hitting the under. Like, they may altogether as a projected point total be like 43, 44, 45 points. I could be wrong. But Buffalo wants to run the ball. Ravens want to run the ball. Clock's going to roll. It's going to limit opportunities. But you also got the Jets and Broncos, 39.5 over under. When it comes to these two tight ends, and when it comes to projecting it, I'm going to lean on the game script and the upside with that, and I'd go likely and let the chips fall where it is. And I think that's how I'd roll. That is how I'd roll. I think it's pretty tight since it's the tight end position. And they could score 9 fantasy points and still be like a top-tier tight end for the week. That's just how that's going to roll. You're also looking at the Ravens here against tight ends. What are we looking at? Ravens and Bills. So, Bills, what year is this? 2024. So, Bills are allowing 12.1 PPR fantasy points to tight ends. Broncos probably not allowing a lot because they're in slower games. They're at 10.7, with really not too much. With the matchup supposed to be a little higher scoring, I would roll with likely on that one. It's more of a coin flip, but if your gut goes somewhere else, roll with it. What's up, Ice Cream? Would it be crazy to start Doomsday over Garrett Wilson? Garrett Wilson's funny because he gets the workload, and then it's like you see the scoring production is 12, 10, 14. The thing about Garrett Wilson, he's very safe. The thing about the Denver matchup, it's going to be slow. But the Jets are always in slow game scripts. They're always in games that are projected to have like a 40 over under or less, and he's still been okay. I wouldn't think it'd be too crazy, but you got Keenan Allen back, so he's going to soak up targets. He's going to soak up volume because he's Keenan Allen, and that's what he does. I wouldn't think it's crazy. I think it's a good upside gamble. I probably wouldn't do it, but I wouldn't think it's crazy. So if your gut's saying it, go with it, because we're studying these players all week. Your intuition is based off what you put into, and I don't think it's crazy. I probably wouldn't do it, but I don't think it's crazy. What's next? Drake. What's up, Drake? How's it going? Pick 3. Moore, Dunze, Reed, Rice, Jennings, Jameson, Marvin Harrison Jr. Rice for sure. Rashi Rice. Reed's going to be a very, very interesting play this week due to Love coming back and the potential workload in this offense. And then Marvin Harrison Jr., Rice, and it's a toss-up between Reed and DJ Moore. Because we look at DJ Moore, he's just getting volume. He's getting volume. We're going up against the Rams. That's going to be a fun game. It's going to be a fun game to watch. That's going to be a fun one. And then we got what? Jaden Reed. It really depends on this matchup here with the Vikings and Jordan Love. I think I'd go, if I'm playing it safe, I'm going Moore, Rice, Marvin Harrison Jr. Because Marvin Harrison Jr. is going to get his targets against Washington. They're tough against the pass, but they're kind of like bend but don't break, but they'll give up fantasy points. I saw that last week, a little bit to Jamar Chase. The ball's probably going to spread out a lot here in Arizona. He's good to go. I'm not worried about his health. But if I want to gamble a little bit more, it'd be Marvin Harrison Jr., Rice, and Reed. But the Reed part is there's a lot of speculation with Love and the matchup with that. But if it was me setting the lineup, I'd go Moore, Rice, Marvin Harrison Jr. Next question coming out, the Don. What's going on, buddy? We got new comments down here, so did I get it? The Don. There it is. Show. Najee, Ford, or BTJ. First off, let's look at Najee. How healthy is he? Practice is full on Thursday. So I look for him to get workload. I look for him to get opportunity. Practice full on Thursday. I look for him to get similar workload. I look for Patterson to get a little bit, but not much to really get you excited. Ford's back. Ford was out of a practice, I think, Wednesday and came back. We'll play week 4 against the Raiders. That's going to be an ugly game. Raiders are missing some people. Let's see what they got with those two on the rankings. Ford. Oh, that's the tight ends, right? Drum Ford at 25. Najee at 14 against the Colts. Go back up here, look at Indy. That might be our answer too. And then also, you got to think about Anthony Richardson in this matchup. He has not been looking good this year. He has not been looking good. Colts are allowing 21.9 PPR fantasy points a game to running backs. Here are the running backs going off. Joe Mixon, 26.8. Josh Jacobs, 15.1. Manny Wilson, 10.2. So I would say if I'm projecting out just by looking at this and how I feel the flow of the game, I say he's good for about a 12 spot. And now the Raiders are up there, and you can run on the Raiders. You can score on the Raiders. 22, 16, 27. I look for Ford to have a little bit more upside in this matchup, especially with the Raiders coming in banged up at wide receiver with Adams out. They might get ahead on them. Might turn some things around for the Browns in this matchup. I'm not 100% comfortable with the knee. I think I'd rank Ford ahead of Najee, and then Brian Thomas Jr. more as an upside play. More as an upside play. So if you're going over here to the flex, so now we're looking at Ford versus 62, 43. I think I'd go Jerome Ford. For this matchup. I think that's what I'd roll with. Jerome Ford. I'd rank him Jerome Ford, Brian Thomas Jr., Najee Harris. I think that's what I would do, looking at all of that. Let's see. Answering each other's question. Thank you, Ice Cream, for answering questions. That's awesome of you. Here we go. We got one right there. Cheeky Bibs for my flex spot. Leggett, Sutton, Swift, or Worthy. Sutton, if you're chasing just pure workload and you want to play it safe, you know the targets are going to be there. Sutton. If not, then I'd go Worthy. Worthy's the upside play I'd take, and Sutton would be the safe play for the workload because he's getting targets. He's getting over a 20% target share. He's getting good air yards. He's got upside to him due to that. It's just not all the targets get there. That's what happens in this offense. And sometimes the volume in the game's a little bit slower, so that target share, even though it's high, that might be like 5 targets in that matchup. But Worthy more of the upside gamble because he can give you a whole lot of nothing, but he can give you a whole lot of something as well. That's how I'd play it, depending on what you want in your flex there, depending on how good you are at running back and wide receiver in the top part of your lineup, and then also how good is your opponent doing. If your opponent's doing good, if he's rocking from Thursday, I'm rolling Worthy. If he hasn't had anything in and he's stuss in a couple spots, I'm rolling with Sutton and hopefully I hit some of those targets. Let's see. What's up, Steven? Need help with flex spot, full PPR, Carson Steele, Lad McConkey. Or consider others from the waiver wire like Jahan Dotson, Quentin Johnson, Trey Tucker, or anyone else. If you're looking back, Carson Steele versus Lad McConkey, if you're wanting to play it safe, my head went with Carson Steele, and I'm shooting for the touchdown upside. So they got him at 61, Lad at 99 against the Chiefs. I think Lad's going to get some targets. I think Lad last week got 6 targets. I think he's going to be somewhere in that range in this matchup. I think they're going to be short targets. I think it's all going to depend on how much space he has to break loose when he gets those targets. Also, where are those targets at? If he's going to be around the end zone. I think we're looking at Carson Steele here getting a lot of run between the tackles. And I look for the Chiefs to move the ball. I look for him to get his touchdown. He hasn't got his touchdown yet this season, even though the work rate only happened in week 3. I look for the touchdown possibly to happen pretty soon for Carson Steele. I'm chasing that touchdown upside. I think Quentin Johnston, if you're trying to make room to roster somebody, is good to have for the season. I think this isn't a great matchup for him. Really depends on what's else on the waiver wire, but if you're bringing up those 3 names at wide receiver, there's probably not much else. I think if I'm playing it safe, I'm definitely going Carson Steele. If I need more upside to gamble, I'll go Lad. But more than likely, if it's me setting lineups, I'm rolling with Carson Steele. Thank you, Ice Cream. Thank you, Don. Here we go. Next guy, Master Nader. Keeper League. Trade. 10-teamer. Start 9. PPR. Collins, DK, Brooks. For Waddle, Bijan, Bucky. Wide receiver room. So you're getting Waddle, Bijan, Bucky back, Collins, DK, Brooks. I would have Bijan ahead of Brooks by a good margin. And I'm thinking long-term because you're saying keeper. So I'm just going off my dynasty head. Waddle, the quarterback room long-term for the Dolphins, should clear itself out. It shouldn't be like this forever. And then you got Bucky at running back. I like Collins a lot. Your running back room, White, Singletary, Dowdle. And you're going Brooks for Bijan. Brooks for Bijan, and you're getting Bucky back on that. And then you got Ayuk. You're losing Collins, Terry. I think it's fine. Because you're going to be more stout at running back. You're going to have more girth there with Bucky and Bijan. And we're hoping Brooks becomes something to that. I think that's fine. I think you're going to take a little bit of lost value at wide receiver, but I think you're fine because you're getting Waddle back. I think dynasty-wise, when I'm looking at this from a pure trade value perspective, the Waddle, Bijan, Bucky deal, Bijan's so high in value in dynasty. If I look at it from a dynasty perspective, if you're looking for multiple years, the Bijan and Waddle in this deal, but Waddle's kind of currently on the low right now due to the quarterback situation because people kind of go week to week in season with that. And DK, he's a good prospect, good player at all. We're not on the back nine of career. I think he's got some time left. I think trade value wise, I don't think that's going to be any higher as it is now. Really, it ain't going to increase to a huge margin. I think it's fine if you need to do that because I'm looking at your running backs, Rashad White, Singletary, Dowdle for the long term. I think that's a good move to make. Also, you're going to get some good rookies next year to help pan that out. Christian McCaffrey news. So from what I saw, is it looks like he's back from Germany, and it sounds like he's getting ready to run on hard surfaces. My guess, they're pushing hard to get him back, and my guess would be back 9 of the season sometime. He will be back.
We buy this.
Oh, yeah? We buy this? Oh, man. Hey, man. Hey, can you go show that to Mommy? Can you go show that to Mommy real quick? No? No?
Who this?
Who this? That's Elmo, dude.
That Elmo.
Oh, yeah.
That bird.
My wide receiver room is looking bad this week. What you got, buddy?
Great. Great.
Stevenson or Higgins? I'd go Stevenson just because I know the touches are going to be there. I'm not 100% counting that targets will be there for Higgins, but I know the air yards will be there when he does get targeted. I think he's got a lot of upside for Higgins. I think he's a gamble. I think Stevenson, I know I know he's going to crack. I know he's going to get carries and opportunities out of the backfield. I'm going to be right back, guys. Come on, buddy. Come on, I'll go this way.
Well, Mommy. Daddy,
I'm back. Now I just got a dog in here to mess with me. So, yeah, I'd go Stevenson if I want to play it safe. Higgins more for upside. I don't know if the targets are going to be there. I think it's going to be a carousel from week to week. Higgins more upside, though, for sure. I think I feel a lot safer with Stevenson. Really depends on the rest of my roster there. If I'm feeling good with what I'm at running back and wide receiver, I'm going Stevenson. If not, also, if it's like a 10-teamer, if I'm in a 10-team league, and I know I got to shoot for upside against someone I'm going against, then I'm going to take the Higgins route because I'm just going to shoot for the air yards to connect on those deep pass attempts. Who's next? I need to start two. Garrett, J-Mo, Addison, Terry, Waddle. Starting Connor, Kyron, Brian Robinson Jr., 2 RB, 2 wide receiver flex. So 2 out of that first list, right? Garrett, J-Mo, Addison, Terry, Waddle. Garrett seems safe for like a 10 spot-ish. Like Garrett Wilson in this matchup here against Denver, it's not the greatest. It's going to be slow. The targets should be there, 5 at minimum. I'd chase that. I'm leery on Addison, especially when I got Jameson Williams. He's due, isn't he? He's got a fire matchup this week. He's got some gamble to him, but he's also got that upside. And he had 3 targets against Arizona. But Jameson Williams, like we've always said, boom games, low games, boom games, low games, that Will Fuller effect. Terry's kind of like the same version of that in this offense because we're already seeing it from last week. But he's more consistent with the targets. They shut down J-Mo, but this is going to be a good matchup. I think I'd go Terry and Garrett. Terry and Garrett. That's what I would do. And if you don't feel Terry, then I'd go Garrett and J-Mo. I'd go Garrett as my stable guys that's going to get 5+ targets, and I'd go one of those two as my upside plays. Risk Olave or play Dortch? Let's go back to that article here. Olave. Where's he at here? We're just reading about his hamstring and suffering the injury Friday. Doesn't bode well, but we'd expect him to at least try to play. What time is the game for the Saints? That's a 1 o'clocker. I feel like for an ancillary wide receiver, that's kind of a gamble. I feel okay with Dortch. I feel like there's going to be volume there. I feel like it could be there. It's going to be between him and Michael Wilson. It's always going to be a toss-up between those two wide receivers. And we're not with Chris Olave. We're not with the coaches or anything. We have limited information on the hamstring. He's questionable. So pretty much, he's testing it right now as we talk. And he might not be able to go or not as we're talking. He might be figuring it out right now. He might be feeling good. If it was me, because Dortch is a little later, right? That's Arizona. So you got Arizona at 4. So what I would do, if Olave is good to go, I'm rolling with it. And I'm just going to take that gamble. And if he's out, then I'm just going to put in Dortch. That's pretty much how I would play it. That's how I play it. I have limited information on the hamstring and whatnot. Don't know if that's going to limit his snaps or his ability to get downfield. But I imagine they're testing it right now, see if he's good to go. And if he's good to go, then they're going to roll with him. And he'll probably get his workload. So I'd watch him like a hawk over these next few minutes. That's what I would do. All right, looks like we got some super chats in, guys. I'm going to go straight to those and then come back to you guys. Elmo, yeah. And now the dog, yeah. I have a golden retriever puppy. He's about 8 months old now. He's pretty cool. His name's Ness. Named him after Earthbound, the video game. And then thank you for the super chat. Much appreciated. T-Law or Darnold? Very interesting question. Let's look here. I love the question. So let's go to 4 for 4 and let's look at this. Let's break this down. T-Law, Darnold. Sam Darnold, QB 17 in their rankings against Green Bay on the road. Let's see how they feel about Lawrence at Houston on the road. So they got Darnold ahead of Lawrence, and it's tight. Looking at the matchup there. And you also got both quarterbacks on the road. So no home games to really break up ties. We're looking at Vikings and Packers. We got a moderate over-under, and it all really depends on if Jordan Love can really push the game script here and how well he's going to be. And then on top of that, who are we looking at again? Darnold in. There we go. Houston, 44. So similar over-unders. One's got Justin Jefferson. Others going against the Texans. The quarterbacks. Just do right here. Texans are giving up the 5th most fantasy points to quarterbacks, 22.8. May want to look at that. I might be Anthony Richardson, though. Let's see. 212 passing yards. He has points on the ground, though. Caleb Williams, 174. What up? Sam Darnold put up 181 against them and 4 touchdowns. His touchdown, and they got up ahead in that matchup, too. And they were playing from behind. CJ Stroud threw some picks. The game script depended really on that one as well. And now we're looking at Jaguars versus Packers. Which they played against some weird quarterbacks too. They're right next to them. Looking at their matchup. Ertz went off that first game. We remember that. They also went up against Anthony Richardson. They allowed a little less. Will Levis, 260 on them, so you can throw on them a little bit. Game script, 30-14, though, so that's something to look at. That one's a little tighter. It's 200, 278. We're looking at like 200 yards passing and be like, you can throw on them a little bit. That's kind of weird. Usually you got to look at the 300s. They're above average when allowing fantasy points to quarterbacks, so both quarterbacks are against advantageous defenses when it comes to allowing fantasy points. No, my gut when I looked at it, I went with Darnold. My gut rolled with Darnold. And it looks like from what I'm seeing, it's tight. And that's kind of a good thing. So you kind of got to pick them here. And 4 for 4 also went with Darnold as well, as they got Sam Darnold at 17 and Trevor Lawrence at 21. Everything else, very similar when it comes to their matchups. I think I would roll Sam Darnold. And I think it's tight, though, and it's a coin flip. So if your gut says Trevor Lawrence, do it. But I think I'd roll Sam Darnold from looking at all that. We have another super trap. I'll go with that one next. And then I'll try and get the other ones in between. If Deebo plays, who do you start? Jennings, Pittman, Worthy, Coleman. Okay, so Jennings, Pittman, Worthy, Coleman. So we're looking at wide receivers, right? So that's a good question. Pittman at 42. The thing about Pittman is he'll get the target share, but the targets may not just be accurate. Worthy at 49. He's a big upside play, and he's just an upside gamble. Keon Coleman. The thing about Keon Coleman is these last 2 games he hasn't been on the field much. So I'll definitely go Worthy over Coleman. And then we're looking at Jennings at 39. And that's not an advantageous game script. I think it's really a push. Like they have it the same way here. A push between Jennings and Pittman right here. It's pretty much a push. 10.3 versus 10.4 in their projected point totals. So it's a push between those two for me, especially with that. Let's see where they got Deebo ranked, see if they're accounting for him. I think I'd flip a coin between Jennings and Pittman here. I think due to the targets not knowing where that's going to go. If Deebo's not rolling, I'm definitely going Jennings. I think Pittman would be my next one. If I want to shoot for upside and I don't care if I take a 0, then I'd go Worthy. And maybe you use that as your tiebreaker, saying, hey, I'd rather just shoot for upside. I'd go Worthy, and we'll roll with it and see what happens. Because I could definitely see him outscoring all these guys, but I can also see him scoring the worst. Like, there's no in-between. That might be your tiebreaker, but if you want to play it safe, looking at the targets, it's Pittman's and Jennings. Jennings, if Deebo's out. Pittman and Jennings, a toss-up if Deebo's in. And my gut's kind of leaning Pittman after looking at all that. And then Worthy if you want to shoot for more upside. And the reason why I'm saying that is because if you're looking at your matchup and you're like, this is going to be a tight one, and I'm not guaranteed these targets with Pittman's and Jennings anymore, and I want to shoot for more upside, I want to go to the moon, then put in Worthy. Then maybe go with Worthy there. If you're looking at your running backs and wide receivers and you're questioning 1 or 2 of them, then you may want to just go with Worthy and just hope for the best. And all things pointing to Worthy maybe even getting the same amount of targets in that situation as well. So if you want to play a little safe, it's toss-up between Jennings and Pittman. I'm more leaning towards Pittman. If you want to shoot for sheer upside, the sheer upside play out of this would be Worthy. Thank you for the super chat, though. Thank you for everything. Thank you guys for watching. We got another one out here from Jay. Let's take a look at this one. Keep Garrett Wilson or put in Shakir Mooney or Myers. If it was me, I'd keep Wilson. I'm not 100% sold on Wilson. I don't think he'll hit his upside. I think he'll be all right for like 9-10 points. If you're looking for more upside, if you're looking for that, safer upside with Shakir, more total upside with Myers. If you're looking for that, I'm not 100% safe with Wilson, but process-wise, I probably wouldn't sit him. But if your gut's rolling a certain way and you're looking for upside, more total upside with Myers, but I don't like the game script that much in that matchup. Shakir's got upside, but a little safer. So if I had to, let's say if I had to, and my gut's saying don't do it, Wilson, and I want to go against that process, I would go Shakir. How about that? So if it was me personally, I wouldn't bench Wilson. I'd probably just roll with the process. I probably wouldn't think too much of it. I feel like 9-10 spot, pretty easy. Maybe more if we can get to the end zone, but I recognize it's a tough matchup. But if I had to pick one of those three, and my gut's saying no, Shakir. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. And sorry I give you guys these long responses. I just want to be true and honest. And I think that's what you guys like. Anyways, so that's the best way for me to answer is just show you what I look at. Shaheed, Mooney, Keenan Allen, Yoshi, Brendan Allen, and start 2. So we got a lot of question marks with these wide receivers. Olave might be out for the Saints. Shaheed's going to get a 20% target share. I feel like the work's going to be good. Make sure you're not missing super chats. I got a lot going on here. Shaheed feels good to me. Keenan Allen is a gamble, but he's also a gamble that could get a lot of targets. But he could not get a lot of targets. But he's a guy that when he's in, they're going to fire it to him. And this Bears offense could look a lot different with him back. Yoshi's an upside play. Mooney's an upside play. Kind of like Shaheed, but Shaheed's more like the ultimate upside play. If it was me, I'd probably go Shaheed and Allen and with that gamble. But if you're not questioning, if you're questioning Caleb Williams and you want to see Keenan Allen for another week, I'd go Yoshi. Shaheed Yoshi or Shaheed Allen. Really depends on how you're questioning that. That's how I'd roll that with that one. Here's the next one. Flex Dobbins, Jerome Ford, Adunze, Addison, or Pittman. I'd look at either one of those running backs. And I'm a little bit nervous with Dobbins. I had to start him in one of my games. And I remember being nervous about it. That was my feelings. And they got him ahead of Ford. But the rankings, when you think about rankings, don't look at it, they got him ahead of Ford. I look at it when I see rankings like this that, hey, they're close together. They're close together. So the story in my mind is it could go either way for the fantasy production. The Raiders allow fantasy points to running backs. They're pretty good at that. Top 3 in the league, as you see right here. Ford's coming back from a knee injury. Kinda. He missed a practice and came back. There he is. Will play. We do not know if Deonta Foreman is going to siphon workload due to that. But he only saw 2 rushing attempts, but he saw 14 in week 2. So when I'm thinking about that, that is the kicker here that's the unknown. If this knee injury here impacts it. If it's not, it's wheels up for Jerome Ford. And I believe that's why he's down there and they're playing it safe. Because they do not know much about the knee. If you're not worried about the knee, you think he's good to go, you think he's going to get the same amount of workload, you're rolling Jerome Ford in this matchup, especially with the Raiders down Devontae Adams. And we don't know about the knee. It seems like he's good to go. We'll play. Everything's looking good. We don't know if they're going to just cut into his workload or not. Allow Deonta Foreman to get a little bit more touches. This matchup here is a little questionable. We might see Dobbins get some quick targets out of the backfield. He might just rack up targets. It's coin flip between the two on the process and how I'm seeing it. I don't know about his knee. If it was me, I'd probably put in Ford. Not 100% loving it, but I'd probably put in Ford. If your gut's saying Dobbins because you like the over-under or a potential shootout of this matchup here, then roll with it because that's the other way it can lean. Game script could get pushed because it is the Chiefs. They are very efficient moving the ball. We all know that. There also can be in slower game scripts. You can run on the Raiders. The Raiders are hurting on offense. The Browns could be up in this game. They could pound it out with Ford, or they decide they could be up in this game and just use Deonta Foreman. That's the thing. If you question the knee, go with Dobbins. If you don't question the knee, go with Foreman because I like the matchup better for him. So next one is, did I do this one yet? Make sure there's no super chats down here. Here's another super chat down here. I'm going to roll with that one. Got Moss and Brian Robinson flex. Does that sound okay? Zach Moss and Brian Robinson flex. Does that sound okay? It sounds okay to me. It sounds good to me. Let's double check the matchup here. I'll go a little bit more in depth here. It sounds okay to me off the rip, though, especially at Bengals and Carolina. And there's still a good chance, even with this being the Andy Dalton revenge game, that the Bengals get up here. They also got it for a higher over-under. Zach Moss should be due to score a touchdown, right? Should be due to get in that end zone. We didn't get it last week, right? We did get it last week. We are getting touches, 12, 12, and 9. We're getting work in the passing game. I think that's way okay. And Eckler's out. So Brian Robinson's going to get the volume here. And it's against Arizona. And teams are trying to run it on Arizona because last year, Arizona was like one of the worst teams when it came to allowing fantasy points to running backs. I'll show you that, which it's different this year, of course, but it's also like kind of part of it. It's 2024 Arizona. This is 2024 numbers right there. They're still above league average by 10.7%, allowing fantasy points to running backs. They're averaging 24.7 PPR fantasy points per game. It's including the whole backfield. Still ahead of league average. But last year in 2023, look at all that, 25.6, not too far off. And Christian McCaffrey was one of the main reasons, though, because he got about 90 fantasy points in 2 games. You exclude that out, they're rocking about what they're doing this year. Teams are still trying to run the ball on them. We saw that week 1 with Buffalo. Buffalo wanted to run the ball on them. I bet Washington's going to look to run the ball on them. Buffalo came out running it 19 times. They knew that. They started with the run. Josh Allen only threw it like twice in the first half. People were wondering what's going on with the passing game, some of the wide receivers. And it started slow. Kyron Williams always does well against them, but usually in the passing game. I think that's okay. I think you're good. I wouldn't overthink that one. I think you're in a good spot. So moving back up here. Let's see. Where was I? Jerome Ford to Dunze. Here's one right here. It's a super flex. We're talking second QB. Y'all don't judge me. Allen is my QB1. Josh Allen? Not judging at all. Not judging at all. And I think that's off of something earlier. Oh, definitely not. Superflex, you're good. You're good. I like it. I think that's good. I think that's good money ball play as well because you're looking at T-Law and you're looking at Darnold. I know what you did there. I know how that team got built. You paid up for Josh Allen, and then you stacked up wide receiver, running back, and then you made sure in the back end of the draft you made sure to get some quarterbacks there with some upside because Darnold, you looked at him and you saw the offense, a fast-paced offense. He was on the cheap. T-Law, middle of the rounds there. You picked him up. You have a quarterback. I see it. Christian Kirk to play it safe. Yoshi for the upside, Mike. That's probably how I would roll with that one. Making sure there's no super chats hanging out down there. I don't want to leave someone hanging. All right, next one. Darnold is in the slot. I was going to let you talk me out of it, but we're going Darnold. Sounds good. Good luck this week. Good luck with that matchup. Here we go. Akers or London flex? A little safer with Akers. I feel like touches will be there. I think if you're going straight touches, Akers. I think London more for the upside because London has not been horrible. I'd go London. I'd go London. That's how I'd do it. That's how I'd set my lineup. I'd look at Akers. Process-wise, when you think of Akers versus London, you look at Akers as a running back getting touches. Matchup's going to probably be okay for him. London's got the Saints. It's going to be an ugly matchup. He's hit back-to-back weeks. I see the risk there. I could definitely see where Akers outscores him and London having a rough matchup. But I think fundamentally and how I'd be setting my lineups, I think I'd go Drake London. I think I'd press that button on Drake London on my actual team and not look twice. I think that's how I'd roll with it. Charbonnet or Roschon Johnson versus Wilson. I think you just put those names in a hat, shake them up, and draw one out. If it was me, I don't trust the Bears 100%. And I know Kenneth Walker's back, but to what capacity? I think he's going to be getting a good workload. I want to look at this Seattle game. Sometimes you get talking. There you go, against Detroit. How's Detroit against running backs? Got running backs up right now, don't we? Let's see. You got Kyron Williams in week 1. Rashad Bucky in week 2. That was like a low-scoring tight game, though. We need this game script to break. They shut down James Conner and Trey Benson and company. They've been actually pretty tight against running backs. And then you got Wilson there. We don't know what the workload's going to be looking like for him. They're all going to be 1B backup backs. Roschon might get the work. We don't know for sure. If you want to gamble, go Roschon because we do not know what the touches are going to look like. He got work last week. They're talking about giving him more work. We don't know till it happens. And then Charbonnet is in a tough matchup here that could break. If the game script breaks, then he might get some targets. Kenneth Walker's back. And Charbonnet's workload is going to be reduced, but I look for him to get used a good bit because he earned more workload when he was out. Manny Wilson's kind of like in the same thing with the Rashad Johnson. You're just hoping either one of them crosses the goal line or get enough workload to get you some extra yards. I think Charbonnet's the safest because I know workload's going to be there. Opportunity will be there. I just don't think the matchup's going to be that great. So if you're doing that, if you're going YOLO, go Rashawn Johnson. That's what I would do. I'd go Rashawn Johnson. I'd probably go yellow with that situation. But if I wanted to play it safe, if I was setting lineups quick, I can definitely see myself hitting Charbonnet. Going down here to Sammy. Thank you for watching. Jonathan Taylor, Cook, Achane are my backs. Which should I start and flex? Marvin Harris or start all three? Cook, Achane, Jonathan Taylor. Cook, Achane. My gut says all three. Let's look at the rankings. My gut says all three. I'm going to go off the rankings here, 4 for 4. Just see if they have Marvin Harrison Jr. like really high or something. But my gut says that 7 overall. And then Taylor, 22 against Pittsburgh. It's just the volume and touches will be there, and he can just – and then Cook's – they're both not in the greatest matchups, but you're also looking at Marv at 18. So Marv's a little bit more of the gamble. He's in a good matchup. The target's got to be there. So if I was looking at Marv and taking one out, both Taylor and Achane, both not the greatest quarterback play, it would be Achane. Marvin Achane. Flip a coin with those guys. My gut went with the running backs, and I feel like that's the safer play. If I want to get a little frisky with it, I would take out Achane and put in Marvin Harrison Jr. I think if it was me, I'd be doing all three backs. But but the question is Marv versus Achane right now, due to the quarterback play, due to the matchup and everything. So if your gut's rolling towards Marv and you want to go against one of those backs, it's Achane, Marv with Taylor and Cook. My gut when reading that went with the backs, though. But I'm talking myself into Marv a little bit, if that's anything. What's next here? What's up, Jay? Got Shakir, Myers, Mooney on bench. That must be from a previous question. Okay, that's from the other one. Yeah, you're good with Moss and Robinson, buddy. You're good there. Daniel Shepard. Let me make sure there's no super chats hanging out. We're going to start working through these a little quicker. Amari over JMO. Najee or Worthy and Flex. Got Patty Brees. So you got Amari Cooper over JMO. So JMO, Najee, or Worthy in my flex. Go Patty, Brees, HN. Najee, if you want to go for sure touches and workload and see what happens with that. Now it's a coin flip between Worthy and JMO for the upside. And I think either of them can score you 20 to 30 fantasy points on any given week, but also give you a whole lot of nothing. We saw that last week with JMO because he had back-to-back weeks. Oh, shoot. He had back-to-back weeks where he went off and then didn't give us anything. And that's probably how he's going to be his whole career, where he's going to go 24-14, nothing, 24-14. I'd probably shoot for the upside and go JMO. That's probably what I would do. That's what I would do. Najee, though, if you're feeling good, you're pretty good. Patty, Brees, you're pretty good with your lineup. If you want to play it safe, if you just want to just chip it on there and get it on the green, go Najee and chase those touches. If you want to blast off more but risk getting another 1.2 fantasy points, I'd go Jameson Williams. I'd probably shoot for the blast off. That's probably what I would do. But you got to look at it both ways for you and what you're going up against as well. Olave, officially active for sleeper. He tested the hammy. From reading that, he should be getting the workload. He should be getting opportunity. If it was me, I'm probably starting him in 90% of cases. If you're wondering, I'd probably start him and let the chips fall because from there, you're not going to know. You're not going to know. Thank you for the update, Master Nader. Izzy, what's going on? Double check. There's no super chats. We're starting to roll through these. Need 2 running backs, 2 flex. Jacobs, Monty, Hubbard, Drake, London, Zay Flowers. 2 running backs, 2 flexes. Jacobs, Monty. Let's go back to these rankings. Jacobs is going to be very dependent on Love this week. I think they have him ranked 20. That's overall. Jacobs at 38 overall. Montgomery at 28. Hubbard should be right there. Hubbard against Cincy. I feel like Hubbard's very safe for the workload. David Montgomery, on the other hand, is not very safe for the workload, but he's got upside for touchdowns. Drake London and Zay Flowers. I don't like Drake's matchup too well. We're looking at Flowers here. Where they got him at? 52. 44. So if I was going to shake this up, I think you're in great position with all 3 running backs. You can go any of the 3 and feel good about it. If you feel better than with somebody other than what I'm going to say here, Monty Hubbard's probably what I would go with. That's probably what I would go with. I feel like Hubbard's going to get the workload. I don't know about sitting Jacobs. So maybe one of the wide receivers, and I'm leaning Drake and Jacobs and flex. But I think Jacobs is going to get workload, and we got to see if Love can keep the chains moving after coming back from that injury. I think he's going to be fine. I think Jacobs is good to go. I think you're good with all 3 running backs. That's probably how I'd do it. I feel okay with Jacobs. Now, I think I go Jacobs Hubbard and then go Drake London in my flex and then go maybe Monty versus Flowers, and I'd go Monty. That's what I would do. Unless you had to go. That's what I would do. They're all 3 backs and Drake London and just go with the Drake London targets and hope for the best. That's what I would do. Next one is Michael Wilson or Dubs. Michael Wilson's a little bit more of the gamble. Dubs runs a Dubs runs a lot of routes as well with Love back. Loves to target him. But Wilson's in a great matchup here. Other one, Michael Wilson, that 50 wide receiver. Dubs is, where's he at? Did they not rank him? They didn't rank him. There he is, 41. It's a toss-up. It's a coin flip. I'm going Michael Wilson. If it was me setting the lineup, I'd go Michael Wilson. I'd roll with that. If it was me, because I like Michael Wilson's work rate. I look for them to try and take out Marvin Harrison Jr., which every team's going to try and do that, and they're going to try and push it with either Michael Wilson or Greg Dortch. It's probably going to be either a Greg Dortch game or a Michael Wilson game as the ancillary wide receiver next to Marvin Harrison Jr. It's going to be either one of those. I can't tell you which one, but it's likely going to be either one of those wide receivers. And I look for Wilson at least. He's going to be on the field. He's going to get 85 to 90% route participation rate. The target's going to go his way. He'll get more than 2 targets, I bet, due to this matchup. I think Michael Wilson, I think that'd be my play. That's what I would do in my lineups. Here's the next one. Keenan Allen, Jerome Ford, Demario Douglas, or Braylon Allen, pick 2. Okay. Someone asked about Allen earlier. I think they said a different first name with them. Keenan Allen's a gamble because you don't know what he's going to look like coming back. But Keenan Allen, I believe, is going to run a lot of routes and get a lot of targets, and that's a gamble. But he's a gamble I would want to roll with. Jerome Ford. And then Braylon Allen's a similar gamble because that game script, but he's also getting enough workload where you can just flip the coin on him. Jerome Ford's a little bit of a gamble due to the knee. We do not know if he's going to get pulled back at all in his workload, but he's got a great matchup. Demario Douglas is always going to get target share, but it's just going to be in these weird scenarios, so he's never, safe. Jerome Ford, and then it's toss-up for me between Braylon Allen and Keenan Allen. Toss-up between the Allens. Ford and Allen for upside, and Ford and Keenan Allen for the upside, or Ford and Braylon Allen, just because I'm chasing those Braylon Allen touches and hopefully crosses the goal line. I think it was me, Keenan Allen, and Ford. If it was my lineup, that's probably what I'd roll with. That's probably what I'd do. Next, PPR start 2, Walker, Rachaad White, Akers. That's a very tough one. Because we do not know if Walker's going to be on the pitch count. It doesn't sound like it. I think it's more of a pain threshold thing. Yeah, look at these running backs. And then you got Rachaad White. And then with Akers, we're just hoping game script doesn't break the wrong way. I guarantee you got to pick 2, right? I'm probably going Walker, Rachaad White if I'm setting lineups. But the thing is, Akers is a big question mark. So they got White at 24. I'm not worried about the illness. And they got Kenneth Walker and Akers behind White. Akers in a good matchup against Jacksonville. I think it's a toss-up between the 3 due to a lot of unknown here, pretty much with every single player. Tampa Bay could be up in this game. But if they're up, they're probably going to use Bucky a little bit more. If this game's tight and they got to throw it, they're going to use Rachaad White. Yeah, Detroit's been locked down against running backs all year long. Cam Akers is in probably the best matchup between the 3 backs. And he was in a good, decent matchup last week, but Stroud threw some picks early on, and that really suffered his opportunities. I think if I was just setting lineups, I'd just look at the names and go White, Walker, boom, boom. That's how I would do it. If I'm analytically approaching this from a deeper perspective, breaking down the game scripts, maybe Walker, Akers. If I'm setting lineups, I'm going White, Walker. I'm overthinking this like I am now, it's probably going to be like Walker Akers, and they're telling you White Walker as well. So if you want to go what I would do when I'm setting lineups and I'm just looking through my teams real quick, boom, boom, it would be White Walker, and I just roll with it. If you're going with what I'm thinking, overthinking it, Walker Akers. And the reason why it's a coin flip, you can toss them in the air and see how the chips lay, and that's pretty much how it's going to be because there's a lot of unknown with all these players. Walker coming back from injury, Akers being Akers, and then coming into a game script that's could be advantageous for him. And then you got Rachaad White with Bucky there, and the game script is going to matter for him. If they're up, they're going to use Bucky a little bit more between the tackles. But Rachaad White, if it's a tight, neutral game script, he's going to get his work in the passing game. But in PPR, White's going to get his work. And also, he was healthy outside the illness, and it was just food poisoning. White Walker's probably what I would hit on my lineups, though. All right, what's up here? We got, looks like we had a super chat down here by Master. Let's start a little dono train. Thank you, Master Nader. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Where are we at here? My last question was Jerome Ford. I'm trying to catch up on my questions. I did that one. Then I had like an Akers White question. Trying to figure out where I was. Sorry, guys. Olave officially active. So we did that. Michael Wilson, we did that. Thank you, Mike. Thank you so much for the questions and watching the videos. Thank you so much. I did the Keenan Allen one. I did not do this one. Chocolate milk. We love chocolate milk. Who do I start, Jennings or Keenan? Jennings, if you want to feel safe. If you really want to feel safe about it. If it was for me setting lineups, I'm probably starting Keenan Allen. I'd probably put him in. I'd probably click that button on him and just roll with it. That's like, I'm also, when I'm answering these questions, I'm also thinking about what I would do when I'm rolling on my phone here and I'm setting lineups really fast because that's honesty. Logistically, if I'm playing it safe with the unknowns, I'd do Jennings. But honestly, what I would probably do is probably start Keenan. That's probably how I would do it. I'd probably click that button, roll with it, and see what happens. Take that gamble because he's Keenan. And if he's out on the field, Akers versus Shakir. That's a good one. I might have missed. Please re-ask if I missed. I can't find the last question I asked, so it either got hidden or something. But Akers, let's look at the flex here. Because I like Shakir. That's the thing. But also, I understand running backs. They're right next to each other. They're saying it's a coin flip. 12.5 projection. That's why I looked. Because I felt the same way when looking at that. Cam Akers, I feel safer. Cam Akers, I feel a little bit safer due to him being a running back. Running backs get automatic touches. Khalil Shakir, I feel like there's more upside here. Which there is with Akers if we can cross the goal line. But Shakir is going to lead this team in targets. The game script's probably going to be slower than expected. I did say this game should hit the under by a little bit. Not huge. Like it had like a 46.5 over under, and I said it was going to be like a 44-ish range. So there will be scoring, but it's going to be a little bit slower, I bet. It's like, we're in Houston. They're not in Florida, which is a good thing. We're in Baltimore. We're outside there. I think if I was playing it safe, I'd go Cam Akers. I like Shakir a lot this week, though. So if you want to roll with him, you can. I'm not against it at all. Nothing definitive. I can tell by their rankings and how I was talking. But I think if it was me, I'd probably roll Cam Akers. Hey, Bruce, you helped me win first last year. Thank you. Full PBR for flex. Which one? Tyreek Hill, Keenan Allen, Chuba Hubbard, Steele, or Stevenson? Thank you, Rick, and I'm glad I helped you out last year. It's up between Chuba and Stevenson, and then after that it'd be Steele, and then Keenan would be my upside play. And looking at Stevenson, I'm gonna look at where Stevenson's at in the rankings. I haven't looked at him. You get foggy answering questions, so I want to make sure I'm sharp for you. Stevenson at 26, And then we're looking at Chuba. Like I like that matchup, and I like his workload. I think Stevenson's a little bit low, but he's also going against the Niners. I think it's a push, but I think I'm pushing towards Chuba there. And then I'm worried about Steele a little bit. I feel like he's very touchdown dependent, and I think all these running backs are to some degree. I think I'd go Chuba and then toss up between the other two backs. So I think I'd go Chuba to feel safe. And then what I'm thinking about Keenan is him running a lot of routes and getting more targets than expected this week. So if you want to shoot for upside, Keenan, and then if you want to take the play that what fundamentals would say to do, would probably be more like Chuba. But I think Keenan Allen's got a lot of upside, but it's very unknown, which could leak to nothing. But Chuba is probably the safe option if you want to follow the workload. Going down here, just checking some more. Let's see here. Going down to this question here. Muffins 22. PPR start 2. Walker, Rashad, White, or Akers. That's the one I answered. So I missed those two. I'm glad I went back to them. So going down to here. Sup, bro? Love the channel. Pick one for flex. 0.5. Braylon Allen, Mooney, Quentin Johnson, Manny Wilson. I'd go Braylon Allen over Manny. And then I'm not in love with Quentin Johnson's matchup. He could still hit. He could still get targets. He's going to be getting an opportunity because he will run over 75% of the routes today. Mooney, similar light. I want to see what they're saying here. My gut went straight up Braylon Allen if you want to roll with that. And they're all like upside flex plays. They got him at 74. I bet you they got Mooney higher. They got him at 63, but projections are probably within like 0.5 points. And then you got that Saints matchup. I think Mooney's got upside to score a lot on some big plays, but he also has the downside to get shut down. That's the thing about that. That's what I'm reading from there. Let's see where they got Johnston at. They got him at 95. I don't like the matchup for him, and they say the same thing. Manny Wilson. Manuel Wilson, 158. So Braylon Allen versus Mooney. Go with who you want there. I think I'm going to go with Braylon Allen. 4 for 4 says Mooney. I think I'd go with Braylon Allen. I think it's a toss-up, a coin flip with that. And Mooney could hit due to the volume and offense. I don't like the matchup for it, though. But same thing with Braylon Allen. I just feel like he's got that goal line upside to his name. Going over here to Black Eyes. Geno Smith or Jalen Hurts this week. Jalen Hurts might have to get more done on the ground. That's the thing about that. Geno's in a great matchup. Let's see what they got. Let's see here. Jalen Hurts at 6, and they got Geno at 10. But I don't look at them 1 for 1 in rankings, but really what that tells me is they're not too far off from each other. This could be a matchup where the Eagles have to run it a lot, but that also means Hurts is going to have to take it down and run a little bit too and throw it, even though doesn't want to, and it's probably going to go to Barkley. Dallas Goedert is going to be mixed up. You also got this is a great situation to be in. You're pretty much rocking 2 QB1s for the week. You're pretty much looking at 2 quarterbacks here that's going to score better than most of the field. And you're looking at 2 quarterbacks here that's going to do well for you. And I think Hurts is going to do a little bit more on the ground this week than usual because that just makes sense. We're also on the road to Tampa Bay. I don't know what that weather's going to look like down at Florida. I know rain, shine, not whatever it is. That is another question right there. And we also got Geno against Detroit. And Detroit's been in some weird game scripts. That defense has been good. If it was me, I'd go Jalen Hurts. I'd go Jalen Hurts. That's who I would pick. Chocolate milk. Keenan or Jennings? I think I answered that one before. But Jennings as for the targets to play it safe, but Keenan for the upside. And if it was me, I'd start Keenan Allen. Be growing stuff. Nice. Now we're looking at defenses here. KC defense or Chicago defense against the Rams. Ertz or commit. Also, J Fields or Love. Let's see. I think I'd go Love over Fields. And then Chiefs defense. I haven't really looked much at defenses. I'm in a lot of IDP leagues, so things get kind of mixed up. So Chiefs, number 2 in the rankings. And I look for this to be a low-scoring game. And now we're just hoping for turnovers. Herbert's been banged up. We got some young wide receivers there. They got to get the ball out quick. And I'm thinking about the Chicago D versus the Rams. I'd probably go with that. You got Chicago down here against the Rams right there at 7. He's right there. I'd probably go with Chiefs. I'd probably go with the Chiefs. I'd go with Love. Commit versus Ertz. When it comes to tight ends, if they're close, it's a pick 'em. But I do like Ertz this week. Revenge game against Arizona. I do like him this week more than the field. And then what you got here, commit at 7 against the Rams. I think it's whoever crosses the goal line gets that touchdown. Whichever one. And I could definitely see this game. I can definitely see more targets going to Keenan. You got Keenan back, Ertz. It's whoever scores that touchdown. If I'm guessing who gets the most targets between Commit and Ertz, I remember that game script broke last week, and Caleb Williams had to throw for over 300 yards. The weeks prior, he didn't have to do that. Washington, Arizona. And that game's got about 50 over under. Washington, Arizona does. That's the kicker there, because you're looking at 45.5 over under. That's going to push the game script. I'd go Ertz. I'd go Ertz if it was me. If it was me, I'd go Ertz. But it's a pick 'em. It's a coin flip. If you like Cole Kmet, go with him. It's the tight end spot, and it's whoever scores that touchdown. I just think Ertz will probably get a couple more targets. And honestly, tight ends are going to tight end. I say that a lot. And it's whoever scores that touchdown. And it's going to be hard to predict, but that's what you want to roll with. So moving on to the next one here. Daniels. Jane Daniels or Darnold. I'm going Jane Daniels. I'm going to roll with Jane Daniels versus a lot of quarterbacks. That's what I'm going to do. Next one, Keith Tapp. Need 2 wide receivers. 10 teams, so we need more upside here. Shaheed, London, Ayuk, Myers, Deontay, Johnson, Hill. I think if it was me, my gut went Deontay because I know there's a 20% target share there, and I'm going to chase that. That's against Cincinnati. That could be some volume in that matchup. And then you can gamble on Hill breaking one, getting that long gain. You could choose to do that. Olave's back. Shaheed's always a gamble. Nothing or a lot. Ayuk has been slow this year, so he's due. Targets have been flowing. Jacoby Myers is in a good spot this week, but the matchup ain't great. But targets should go his way. And then you got London, who's not in a great matchup, should be getting targets. So you got guys who are getting targets, but all in weird situations. Deontay is my main squeeze out of the 2. And then you can either bank on Hill, gamble on Hill, getting yards after the catch on one play and just scoring big, or it'd go London. That's what I'd do. I'd probably go Deontay and Hill and just risk it, or I'd go Deontay and London if I wanted to play a little bit more safe. Here's one, Shaheed or Dubs. Shaheed's or Dub from Master Nader. So I look at it this way. Shaheed's a gamble every week to score you a ton of points or nothing. That's what I look at him. He's like a Will Fuller type wide receiver. He can score you like 30, 40, 20, 30 fantasy points in any matchup, 20 to 30, or he can get you like 5. I think Dubs with Love back could be safe. I think he's a safer option. I think he's safe for 8, 9, 10 points. Like, he ain't going to flatline on you. And there's a chance he could hit his upside. I think Shaheed's more likely to hit that upside. If it was me and I was looking between the two, and I'm setting the lineup, I'd probably go Dubs. But if I'm hurting, like my opponent scored a lot from Thursday, or if I'm hurting at running back or something, then I'm going Shaheed. That's what I would do in that situation. Ramondre, White, Bucky, Rashawn, or Michael Wilson in my flex. Ramondre as just the safe option for touches. That's what I would do. That's what I would do. If I wanted to gamble a bit, I'd choose between Bucky and White. And if Tampa Bay gets up in that matchup against the Eagles, I think Bucky's going to get some opportunity to run it between the tackles, slow it down a bit. But if that game script's tight, White's going to get those targets. They kind of showed that hand last week. And then Roschon, I kind of want to see more if they're going to hold true and allow him to get workload. Swift's like second or third among running backs in the league in routes ran at the running back position. Michael Wilson, this could be his matchup. This also could be the Greg Dortch game. I like this matchup for Michael Wilson. I'd probably start Ramondre, but if you're against it and you want to go pure upside, I'd do Michael Wilson, but I'd go Ramondre if it was me setting the lineup. Bucky, Dr. Monster. I like it. Next, for some reason, I can't hear now. BRB. All right. Hope you're back, buddy. Who's next? Debo, Shakir, Ford, start 2. I think I'd go Debo and Ford. I think that's what I would rock. Unless you want to get a little risky, and I go Debo and Shakir. But I think I'd put Debo in there. If he's out there, he's out there, and I'll let the chips fall where it goes. That's what I would do. Bench 2. So which 2 I don't like the most? Yoshi, Jennings, Mike Evans, Shakir, Higgins. So definitely going with Evans. For sure. He ain't coming out. I like Shakir. I'm just going to keep him in there for now. Higgins versus Jennings. I think I'm going to gamble more on Higgins on the deep plays. And now it's JSN versus Jennings. And we talked about how Detroit is rough on running backs. Tough defense, but the volume's supposed to be there with the over-under. I think I'm going to go JSN. Bench 2. I think I'd go start JSN, Mike Evans, Shakir, and Higgins. Those back 4, and I'd bench Yoshi and Jennings. I think that's what I'd do. Actually, it's a toss-up between Higgins and Yoshi. It's a toss-up, and it could go either way with those 2. And then I'd roll Higgins just because he's more due. And Yoshi hit the last few weeks, but it's a toss-up. If you want to go the other way, you can go the other way. So one of the Bengals wide receivers, Jason, Mike Evans, Shakir. If I had to choose between the Bengals wide receivers, I'd probably roll Higgins because Yoshi's been hitting for me good. Connor LaRose, Ford, Kirk, Rome, Jennings, pick 1. Ford, Kirk, Rome. Ford to play it safe at the running back spot. He might lose some touches due to that knee, but he's got a great matchup. That'd be the one I'd actually pick for my lineup. My neck, I'd have it ranked kind of like how you got it. And Rome more upside. Maybe Rome over Kirk. But I'd probably go Ford if I had to pick one between all that. Making sure there's no super chats hanging down below. Darnold or Stroud? I'd probably lean Stroud. I'd probably go Stroud ahead of Darnold. It's closer than what a lot of people would say, but I'd probably go Stroud. Darnold or Geno? I'd probably go Arnold. I'd probably go Darnold. It's a tight one. Geno's in a good matchup per the overall, but per the over-under. It could be a higher implied point total in that game. It could break. But also Detroit's been not so great against quarterbacks. Half PPR, start 2, Debo, Jaden Reed, Garrett Wilson, and JSN. Half PPR, start 2. I'm probably going Debo and Garrett Wilson. I got my upside play with Debo come back from the injury. He's Debo, probably going to get his opportunity still. Garrett Wilson's going to get at least 5 targets. I can bank on that. Jaden Reed's also got to compete with a bunch of other good wide receivers in that offense, and we're looking at Love coming back. JSN's in a weird matchup. I can see him get funneled some opportunity in this game, considering it could be more pass funnel, but it could also be a slower game than projected. I think if I was starting 2, I'd go Debo and Garrett Wilson. Next, full PPR flex, Waddle, Ridley, or pick up Douglas, Tucker, Gabe Davis. I think I just keep it Waddle and Ridley. Now, I hope for Waddle to get you a lot of yards after the catch on one of those plays and score big. That's the gamble every week now that you got to play with. And then Ridley's going to get you a good target share and good air yards from week to week. It's either it's going to hit or it's not. Ridley's very boom bust every week, and you never know when the boom's going to be there or not. But I'm just going to just start my studs and go with it. Gino, Caesar's got a question. Okay, Gino. Okay, I think it was with Gino or Stroud. I'd still go Stroud over Gino, Caesar. I'd still go Stroud over Gino. Tingley, Akers, Rashad, Bucky. I think it's a toss-up between Rashad and Bucky. It really depends on how the game's going there. I don't think you're going to really pinpoint either running back for the week, and it's a weird game script because Devonta Smith and A.J. Brown's out, and the Bucs could get up on them, or the Eagles make this a dogfight. If it's a dogfight, it's Rachaad White. If the Bucs get up, they're probably going to use Bucky between the tackles, allow him to get more opportunity, more experience. I expect to be a mixed workload. Akers, I think he's safe for workload. I think he's safe. If I'm starting one, if I got to start one, gun to my head is I'm really flipping a coin between Bucky and Rashad. I think if I'm flipping faster in my lineups, I'd probably tap Rashad and keep it moving. That's probably what I would do if you're asking me what I'm actually going to do with my lineups if I had that. And now we got pick 2 PPR, Kirk, BTJ, Michael Wilson. I'd probably go Michael Wilson in one of the Panthers wide receivers. I just don't like the matchup to start 2. And it really depends on if you think the targets go underneath or the deep ball is going to come in. Deep ball comes in, you're going BTJ. I think it was me. I'd go BTJ and Michael Wilson. I think I'd have to split that up for the week. Next, Black Eyes, hit the like button. This man is doing. Hey, thank you guys. Yeah, make sure you hit that button, hit that subscribe button. I try to do this every Sunday. Thank you, Black Eyes. Next, Jax Haas. Steele or Ramondre, don't want to get the 0.4 back again. I think the thing about Ramondre, I looked at him earlier. Or did I? I think what you're looking at here with Ramondre, the thing is Carson Steele could do the same thing. Because look at the workloads in weeks 1 and 2. And you look at that game script against the Jets. Jets got up high. The same thing could happen versus Niners. The Jets roared on them, remember? That's what you're betting on. You're not betting on Ramondre Stevenson being good or bad. You're betting on that game script because the Jets got up heavy on the Patriots last week. If you remember that, the Patriots playing from behind and brought in Drake May in the last series of the game. And now we got the Niners here, and we also got the Patriots on the road. You also got Carson Steele. Carson Steele is going to be in a game where the ball is going to be moving. We know that. And you got to bank on that touchdown. You got 17 carries. It's right here, right? You got 17 carries. And it's 8.4 PPR fantasy points. So he's got to score a touchdown for you. Ramondre is going to get to work unless that game script breaks, and it could for the 49ers. It's a toss-up. Maybe you want to go with Carson Steele here. You got the Chiefs on the road. Maybe that allows Chargers to give them a little bit more pushback. If they're in the red zone, they're going to give it to Steele. They're probably going to get more red zone opportunities than the Patriots, all things given. I don't look for Stevenson to suck as bad as last week. I think that's going to be hard for him to do with all the workload and opportunity. But again, that matchup's not great. And if they're playing from behind, they're not going to use them as much. I think if you really want to, you could start Steele. I think that's what the process kind of says there. Next, start 2, Walker, Irving, Allen. I think I chance it with Walker with the upside. If he's back, he's good to go. They're going to use him. They talk about how bad they wanted to use him all offseason long. Now he's back. They allowed him the time to get ready and be full force. I think that 4.3 speed gives you the home run threat. Thank you for watching. Thank you for the questions, too. Thank you guys all for all the questions. I love it. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe button if you're loving it as well. Purdy, Darnold. I feel a little bit safer with Purdy this week. A little bit safer. I like them both. I think you're in a good spot at quarterback, so if you want to go the other way, go ahead. I'm leaning with Jalen Hurts. I think he's going to run a good bit. I like Darnold, too, this week. So if you want to go the other way, go ahead. But I think I'm going to lean with Hurts if I'm setting lineups. Next is Akers or JMO. Akers, if you want to play it safe, you want to get those touches. JMO, if you want to go straight up upside. JMO is going to be one of those players that can score you 20 to 30 fantasy points on any given week. In the next few weeks, be hardly anything. That's just the type of player he's going to be, and you're never going to know which game it's going to be because he's going to score in busted coverages. He's got the speed to do that. He's going to get the deep balls, and then some games that's just not going to happen. Or he gets overshot on some of those targets. It just doesn't reel in. Akers, we know the target's going to be there. We know the opportunities are going to be there. What we got next? Start or sit, White or Bucky, RB2. This one's going to be very game script dependent. I think White's the safest one. He's not dealing with the more crucial injury. He was dealing with a foodborne illness coming in. I think both running backs are going to be good to go. Good to go. And it really depends on the game script here. If the Eagles make this a game, then I go White. If Tampa Bay gets ahead, I'm going Bucky. But I think I'm going to lean White. But of course, that's not 100% certain, but that's what I would do if it was my lineups. Oh, I just want to show it. I think Steele would be the main RB1 working Hunt, just like they did with Steele. Yeah, I think so too. I think Steele's going to be good with the goal line work, and it just really depends on like how the game script flows. Ertz or Gesicki versus Panthers. I think I'd roll with Gesicki. Tight ends are going to tight end. It could be tight with that one, but I like Gesicki in this Bengals offense. Next is Brian Thomas, Juan Jennings, Calvin Ridley, Waddle. Pick one. That's a tough one due to the quarterback play of the Dolphins right now. Same thing with Calvin Ridley. My gut went with Ridley. Right off the rip. And I liked Ridley because of the target share and air yards. 44 overall against the Dolphins. They could be up in that game. They're going to try and make it slow. Brian Thomas Jr., though. My gut went with Ridley. I think Ridley's a little safer. I think Brian Thomas has more upside. My gut went with Ridley for some reason when I looked at that. Where they got Waddle at, I didn't even look this week. I think it's between Ridley and Brian Thomas Jr. for me. Yeah, Jennings right in the mix. I think it's between Ridley and Brian Thomas Jr. Go with your gut on that one. It was me. I'd probably go with Ridley because I know the target share is going to be there. But Brian Thomas Jr., if I'm really looking for the upside, if I'm hurting, if my opponent scored a lot on Thursday, I'm going Brian Thomas Jr. all day. Same thing. Ridley to feel safe on the target share. But Brian Thomas Jr., if my opponent went off on Thursday, if I'm not liking my running back situation, like my running back's going up against a tough matchup along with some of my other wide receivers, and I'm going Brian Thomas Jr. That's probably how I would look at that. Setting lineups, just being honest. Laporta or Fant. Laporta has been a major disappointment so far. Honestly, I'd go Laporta. Didn't he get hurt? We'll play week 4 in Seattle. That game's got a decent over-under to it. I'd probably still roll Laporta, though. I'd probably personally still roll Laporta. Fant. Noah Fant at 20. And then Laporta. Yeah, they're matching with my gut, and it's a good matchup for them. Good over-under. I'd probably go with Sam Laporta there. I'd probably roll with that. We got next question here. We got Jacoby, Trey Tucker, Leggett, Watson, Irving. Pick 2. Jacoby. And a toss-up between Watson and Irvin. Really depends on the game script and what's happening. Can't really forecast that. Jacoby. Watson's a good gamble. Watson is a good gamble. So I'd probably gamble it on Watson and Jacoby if I was setting lineups. But my brain also analyzes it as Irving's also a good bet too. So Jacoby versus one of those two. If you're going pure upside, I probably wouldn't go both Tucker and Jacoby. I think I'd go Jacoby because he's trusted with a good target share and stuff. Last year I'd roll with that. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for the questions. Swift or Steele? I'm going to roll with Steele. I'm just going to roll with the Chiefs offense. I'm not going to trust the Bears. I think we're going to get the other running backs in the mix here. I think that's going to happen. We don't know how much. Swift's getting a lot of work in the passing game with routes ran, but not as many targets to go along with those routes. I'm just going to go with Steele. That's probably what I would choose. All right, guys. It's almost 1 o'clock. Please drop any questions you got below if you got any. If I don't get any here in about a minute or so, I'm probably going to jump off. But this week's looking good. Everything's looking solid. Make sure to hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button on the way out because I'm going to try and do this almost every Sunday this year. Last year I did most Sundays on the back end of the season once I got faster internet to be able to do this. But as we get deeper in the season, bye weeks start approaching. This will probably help you guys out. And if these start being more trendy, I'll start doing them throughout the week as well. But I try to do a lot of videos, especially with the You Need series. I do those a lot just to get the deep dives in. Higgins, Johnston. I'd go Higgins over Johnston. Quentin Johnston, I do Higgins this week over Johnston. I don't like the matchup against the Chiefs. I don't like that on the outside. I think Higgins is a coin flip with Yoshi. And I think they're all – is the other one Ridley? Ridley's a little bit safer due to the target share. I think the target share will be there. It just matters if that's his game or not. He's up and down, off and on. I think I'd probably still go with Higgins. I think that's what I'd do. Garrett Wilson or Olave. I feel a little bit safer with Olave, but if you want to shoot for more upside in his matchup against the Falcons, then go with Olave. I think I'm talking myself more into Olave. Do that, but Garrett Wilson's a little bit more safer. I know the targets are going to be there. I think he's good for about 9 to 10 PPR fantasy points. I think Olave with the hamstring, I think there's a little bit of gamble if something pulls up with that middle of the game. Olave is good to go right now, but he's also good for deep shots. So those deep shots could give you some upside. So if you're looking for the safety net, Wilson. If you're looking for more upside than Olave from what I'm looking at there, Bucky Irving or Carson Steele. Carson Steele's a little bit safer. I think Bucky Irving's got more upside. And most of my leagues, when I'm looking at this, I'd probably shoot for the upside and go with Bucky Irving. Debo or Zach Moss. Most of my leagues, I'd go with Debo and just shoot for the upside. Just hope he gets those routes and targets. If I'm really feeling good about everything else, I want to play it safe, I'd go Zach Moss. But honestly, if I'm telling the truth and I'm looking at most of my lineups, I'm probably setting it with Debo. That's probably what I'm doing, and just hopefully things go good. Next one is Shaheed, Mooney, Keenan Allen, Yoshi, start 2. If I'm going to take a gamble anywhere, it'd be Keenan. Well, it's all gambles here because these are a lot of upside players. I'm going to mess around with Keenan this week. And then on top of that, I'd probably go with Yoshi. Keenan and Yoshi is probably what I would roll with. That they're all up in the air. If you want to go either way with any of those players, go ahead. Shaheed would be next in line with me with this matchup. Which defense, Titans or Miami or Raiders? I think I'd go Titans and hope something breaks with those quarterbacks. I'd gamble on the Titans versus that. Braylon Allen or Goddard at flex? Goddard's the safest play. I look for targets to be funneled toward him in this matchup. It may not happen. It might get slower, but I look for that. Braylon's got that touchdown upside. I think Goddard's a little bit safer. I think targets are going to go his way due to the matchup in this one. I think that's going to happen. I think it's going to be looking good for him. Thank you guys for the question. Rapid fire and bring them down. I'll just throw out quick answers as we get closer to kickoff. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash that like button, spread this around. Rashad White or Bucky? This has been the trending question of the day. And this is really dependent on the game script and this affects running backs mostly. And I think if it's a tight game, or even if the Bucs are behind, it's Rashad. And if the Bucs are ahead, they're going to give Bucky the work. They're going to pound him out, allow him to get some more experience. That being said, there's a good chance that Tampa Bay gets ahead, but with the Eagles missing some players, I believe they're going to try and make it slow and dirty. If it was me, I'd go Rashad White and just roll with that. When we're looking at Keenan White, when we're looking at Worthy versus Keon Coleman, I'm going Worthy. I'm just going to roll with the Chiefs here in the upside. Keon Coleman, he's not been out there too much. Worthy's been out there a bit. He's got the upside in his offense. I'm always going to be shaking that upside for sure. Another one, Bucky. Okay, I just did this one. Rashad White for me if I was going to set it. Walker or Akers. I think I'd go Walker and just lean on the talent and hope for the best. Akers, if you want to go with that, because I know opportunity is going to be there in this matchup. But if it was me, if I'm setting lineups real fast, I'd probably click the Walker button. But if you want to go Akers, I'm not going to hate on you. So if your gut's wrong that way, go ahead and do it. Worthy, Shakir, Zay White. Zay Flowers? No, Zamir White. Worthy, flex. Let's see. I think I'd go Shakir as my safe wide receiver, Worthy as my upside play. I think both White and Brown are a little bit of gambles. I think I'd go Shakir. Here. Next, 0.5 PPR, Bijan, Mason, HN. Pick 3. Or B-Rob, should I bench HN? I think B-Rob's going to get a lot of work with Eckler out. I think he's in a good matchup. I think if your gut's rolling with that, go ahead and do it. I don't think HN's in the best matchup. I think Mason's going to get workload. Bijan's going to do Bijan things like we always see. And if you're questioning that and you're questioning Dolphins being able to move the football, I think B-Rob's in a good spot this week. If you want to do it, I'm not going to hate you. I think it's a good coin flip scenario. And if it's a coin flip scenario and you're feeling B-Rob, go ahead and do it. Based on projections, need floor, but I want ceiling. All right, if you want ceiling. Well, HN's always going to get you ceiling because of that speed. B-Rob is going to get a lot of workload that's going to add to the ceiling as well. If you need more floor, it's B-Rob, and he's also got some ceiling there. And HN's floor is pretty low with the Dolphins' offense. That's probably what I roll with. Thank you, Gabe. Thank you so much for watching. Cam 2, HN, Myers, or Shakur? I think I'd go. It's a toss-up between Jacoby and Shakur. I like Jacoby due to I know that targets should go his way. Doesn't mean it will, and it's due to the matchup. You started Neighbors already, so you're looking good there. Kamara's probably going to look good there. Connor's going to get work. You're good at running back. You're good there. Neighbors got you a bunch of points. So really, if you gamble on HN hitting that big play, ain't going to hurt you too bad if it doesn't. But you also got Myers and Shakir. They should be semi-safe for you. If you're looking for safety, Myers and Shakir. If you're looking for upside, it's either HN mixed with one of those wide receivers. And it's a coin flip for me. I like Shakir this week. I also like Myers, but I don't like the matchup too much. I think I'd go Shakir, HN if I was setting my lineup. Unless I want to play ultra safe. And then I go HN. Yeah, HN and Shakir. Garrett Wilson or Hopkins. Wilson's a little bit safer. The matchup's not too great. Hopkins showed some upside last week. I think I'd still go Garrett Wilson. I think he's good for 9-10 points. If I'm shooting for more than that, then I'm going to go Hopkins. So if I'm shooting for more than 9 to 10 points, I think he's going to get stifled a little bit. Garrett Wilson will. Then I'm going Hopkins. That's probably what I would do. Garrett Wilson or Olave Higgins. Garrett Wilson's a safe play. If you need to be safe with the lineup choice here, then I'd go Garrett Wilson. If you need to shoot for more upside, then it's a coin flip between Olave and Higgins. Olave's a little safer if you throw out the hamstring situation against Higgins. So if you're not worried about the hamstring, then Olave's your upside choice. And then Higgins, the next bet. So honestly, most of you guys will probably go with Olave in the situation in your lineup decisions with what you're going up against in your matchups, and then what you're starting with running back and wide receiver. So more than likely Olave, but with Garrett Wilson being a little bit safer. Jennings or Waddle. Jennings is really dependent on if Debo is going to come in and soak up a lot of targets and then get Brandon Ayuk going. Jennings does have some risks this week, but he's always a guy that you're going to be looking at in your lineup decisions going forward. Waddle, because of that quarterback play. Coin flip scenario due to that, because we can tell that story. Definitely coin flip scenario. We got the Dolphins here in a slow-paced game against the Titans. I'd go Jennings probably. I'd go Jennings. If you want to go the other way, you're good for it. 2008 fantasy start 2. I'd go, well, Reggie Bush from USC's fun, but Marshawn Lynch and MJD is what I'd go with. Thank you for asking it. That's a great question. I loved it. Roshan or Steele? I'm probably rolling Steele as a little safer. If you want to gamble a little bit more, Roshan, I think there's a little bit more upside, but I think Steele might be able to crack the end zone this week. Worthy over Keon for sure for me. Worthy versus Rome. Rome might be a little bit safer than Worthy due to the potential target share, but there is some risk there due to it being the Bears and everything else. Rome's the better talent. I'd probably go Rome over Worthy, but if I want to shoot for even more upside, I'd probably roll with Worthy. I'd probably go with Rome. Cam Akers or Pickens at flex? Cam Akers or Pickens at flex? George Pickens. George Pickens, the safe play. I think he's good for 5 targets or more every week, except for week 2 where he got like 4. I think the air yards are there. I think he's a splash play. Cam Akers, if you want to chase the RB touches, I think I'd roll Pickens. I think he has more potential to hit 20 to 30 fantasy points. Jennings or Watson, Christian Watson, I'd probably go Christian Watson. I think there's more upside with Jordan Love back, and I'd shoot for that. Thanks, homie. You're the man. Thank you for watching, buddy. Thank you. Thank you guys all. Make sure you guys hit that like and subscribe button, because when we do this next week, you'll be able to see it and not forget about it, or less likely. Myers with Adams out or Shakir? Yeah, we went over this just a few minutes ago, and I was very tight with it. I like Shakir a little bit more this week, but I'm very tight. So if your gut says Myers, roll with it. I like Shakir a little bit more, but not by much. Full PPR, HN or Moss? I think Moss is a little bit safer. I think Moss is a shade safer. I like HN more for the upside. I'd probably be shooting for the upside in my lineups, but I gamble a lot, and I miss a lot when I gamble, but I also hit high a lot. So that being said, if I'm shooting this and I'm looking at this in my lineups, I'm shooting HN. Logistically, you may want to go Moss if you want to play it safe. So I'm just going to cut you straight there. Monty versus Drake London. I think I'm just going to pull up on Drake London and hope he gets the targets. I hate the matchup, but Monty's also sharing the workload, and we're hoping that Monty scores the touchdown. I think I'd go with Drake London. David Montgomery or Jerry Jeudy or Monkey? Monkey over Jerry Jeudy. That's probably what I would roll with. Next is Mostert, Worthy, the Monday weight, or Quentin Johnston. Mostert worth the Monday weight. I'm talking about Raheem Mostert. I don't like Quentin Johnston this week against the Chiefs. I don't really love the Dolphins this week with the quarterback play and the slow game script. Is he worth the wait? You got to hope he scores. With Quentin Johnston, you got to hope the Chiefs bust up on some plays. I think both of them are very risky. I don't like either of them. You're really just gambling on either one. These are just gamble players right now to me. I'm really not a fan of either this week. So if I had to pick one, I'd probably just roll with Quentin Johnston and hope for the best. But if your gut leans Mostert, roll with it. Next, start Vikings defense versus Packers, Saints defense versus Falcons, or Titans defense versus Dolphins. Start one. Going over here, defenses. Looking at these defenses real quick. Packers 16. Vikings are low. I look for that game to be weird. I kind of don't want to bet on that. Titans. I'd go Titans and just hope they crush the quarterback there on that one. Hope they live up to that situation that they got there on a golden platter. Next is Ayuk or Deontay Johnson. I think I'd roll Deontay Johnson. I can definitely see how it could go either way. I think I'd roll Deontay Johnson with that one. McConkey or Judy. Both of them are getting good volume. Both of them are going to get probably about a similar amount of targets. It's a toss-up. I think targets should be more concentrated on McConkey. I think he should roll up with 5+ targets in this game against the Chiefs as they're trying to get the ball out quick. I think I'd probably start McConkey if it was me setting the lineups. Start to Olave, Reed, Williams, or Sutton. Don't know which Williams, but I'd probably go Olave and Reed in that situation. Pick one. Juwan Jennings, Debo, or Terry. Debo, I'd probably go Debo and roll with it. That's probably what I would do. I probably wouldn't be worried about it. I'm rolling. Like, if you're asking me what I would exactly do in this situation, I would go Debo. And just pray that they don't put him on a pitch count or anything. That's probably what I would do. That is exactly what I would do. And I'm not worried too much about Debo. I'm just going to click that button on him and see what happens. And that's about it. That's probably what I'm going to do. But we got any more? That's it. If you guys got any more questions, drop them real quick. It's 1 o'clock. It's about kickoff time. So it's about time to watch some games. So I'll give you a few seconds to do that. Make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. So next Sunday, we're going to do the Q&A before the games start. I can help you out. And then on top of that, videos every day. Just grinding out the unique videos, just doing deep dives every day. Every day. Just throwing out advanced analytics, looking at other people's rankings, and that's pretty much what that means, whether you need to play or don't, and that's up to you, but I throw out the advanced metrics in those. All right, I think we're good. Yeah, let's go watch some games, guys. Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Thank you, Master Native. Thank you. You've been watching a lot. Thank you so much. All right, guys, we're going to head out today. Good luck with your matchups. Hopefully I helped you guys. I'll see you guys next time.